Hello everyone and welcome back to our IELTS Grammar Masterclass. So in these lessons we will be focusing in on the English grammar as well as relating it to the IELTS exam. So whenever we're talking about the different topics in English grammar, we will then discuss how you can learn this grammar and use this grammar to have success. So if this sounds good to you, then stick around because today we are going to be looking at the subject-verb agreement. Now this is arguably one of the most integral parts of grammar. It lays the foundations for other aspects. So this is definitely something to feel confident in before going on to more complex grammar concepts. Okay, so let's get started. Firstly, what does subject-verb agreement mean? When we say this, what are we referring to? Well, this is an agreement. It's like a shake of hands in English grammar. And it's talking about the relationship between the subject, so the subject of a sentence, and the verb, the doing word that follows it. So essentially, it all has to do with the number. Whether the subject is singular or plural determines whether the verb following it is singular or plural. So it's really important to make sure that they match, that they're shaking hands, that they're in agreement. Otherwise, this will upset the whole sentence if they are mismatched. Okay, some more information. So, yes, really important to pay attention to the number of the subject. If the subject is singular, use a singular verb. If it's plural, use a plural verb. So we're always making sure that that number is clear. Okay, so let's start by thinking about singular subjects then. So a singular subject refers to perhaps a single person, I or you, singular, he, she, a place, a thing, or an idea. And they are typically, singular subjects are typically associated with singular nouns or pronouns as well. Okay, so we'll look at this in more detail. So singular nouns, for example, the dog. So the dog is the subject and it's also a noun as well. And how many dogs are there? Well, there is just one. If there was more than one, you would have that S on the end. But no, in this situation, there's just one dog. The dog is barking. So we'll just focus in on the singular nouns and then we'll talk about how this works with the subject-verb agreement, but we just want to be confident with this first. Another singular noun, a book is on the table. So a book, the subject, how many books are there? There's just one. My friend is coming over. How many friends are coming over? Again, just the one. Okay, so we've had a look at singular nouns. Now let's think about singular pronouns. Okay, so we've touched upon pronouns in the 9 essential building blocks of English grammar. So if you're not sure about pronouns, then that's a good place to go and brush up. But essentially pronouns replace nouns so that we don't always repeat ourselves. So instead of saying Mark, we can say, as long as we know that we are talking about Mark, later on we can say he. He is going to the store. And this pronoun refers to one person. Again, we can use she, so similar, the same concept here. We've been talking about somebody, maybe Diane, and then later on in our conversation or in our writing, we can refer to her as she. And there's just one person, so she enjoys reading. If it's not, if we're not talking about a person, we can use it. It is raining outside. So various different ways that you can use these pronouns here, and these are singular pronouns. Okay, so you can also have, building upon our knowledge now, singular noun phrases. So firstly, what is a noun phrase? You might have seen this concept before, noun phrase, but we're not too sure maybe. So a noun phrase is a group of words centered around a noun. So there's like a centerpiece noun, if you like, and a noun can be a person, place, thing, or idea. And then the other words are there to modify or describe the noun. So you can think of it almost like a play. You've got the main character and then you've got the side characters and the stage, which help to bring everything together and highlights the main character a lot of the time. So these modifiers can be either articles, adjectives, prepositional phrases, and even other nouns. So articles are the, an, a. Adjectives are describing the noun, so beautiful, amazing. Prepositional phrases are describing the relationship between the different parts of the sentence, so it might be on, in, above, and in fact other nouns as well. So for example, the noun phrase here, which is singular, we're still on the singular part of this. The large tree provides shade. Okay, so we've got our noun, which is tree. Then we've got our adjective here, large, that modifies the tree. And how many trees are there? There's just one. Similarly, a red car is parked in the driveway. Car being the noun, red being the modifier, the adjective in this situation. How many cars are there? Just the one. So we're always going back to number. Number. If there's one thing to remember from this lesson on subject-verb agreement, it's to remember how many of the noun are we talking about, the number. And that will help you when deciding whether it's singular or plural. Okay, a bit of a longer phrase here. The house on the corner is beautiful. Okay, so the house is the noun. On the corner, we've got a prepositional phrase here, and that's the whole noun phrase. There we go. Is beautiful. And then we've got another adjective to describe the house there. Okay, how many houses are there? Just the one still. So those are our singular noun phrases. And this is important because we can now spot singular nouns, noun phrases, as essentially singular subjects. So when we're building upon our knowledge and thinking about singular verbs, we will be much more confident with that. Okay, so now let's zoom into singular verbs and then we'll put it all together. So, singular verbs are used when the subject of a sentence is singular, like we've just been looking at, referring to one person, place, thing, or idea. And singular verbs often end in maybe an S in the present tense. Things that are happening right now. Okay, so let's see this in action. The girl, so I've underlined the subject here, the girl, is singing. So is here is the singular verb. If there was more than one girl, maybe you know what verb we would use instead. Is would become are. The girls are singing, but here there's just one, so we use is. The baby, how many babies? Just one. The baby cries loudly. There's the S there. And the Y for C-R-Y, cry, changes to become C-R-I-E-S for this one. Okay, another one, the artist. How many artists? Just the one. So the artist paints the canvas. I. This is a bit easier to spot. How many eyes do we have? Well, just the one, as you can imagine. So I make banana bread regularly. Okay, so you can see the verbs in red here are matching with the subject. And hopefully this is all coming into place now about, okay, it's not perhaps as overwhelming as you might have initially thought. It's something that probably we do without thinking too much about it anyway. Match the verb to the subject, but it's just really important to be confident and know the process behind it, so that when we move on to other areas of grammar, this is really solid. Okay, now let's look to the plural subjects and the plural verbs. So, a plural subject refers to more than one person, place, thing, or idea. And plural subjects are typically associated with plural nouns or pronouns. So, like we were looking before at the singular nouns and pronouns, now we're going to highlight their plural counterparts. Okay, and we've done the same examples so that it's really clear the difference here. So we've added the S to the noun, and this becomes a plural noun now. The dogs are barking. And you might have noticed that the verb changes as well, but we'll come on to that later. The next one, books are on the table. That added S. How many books? How many dogs? Well, there is more than one. We're not sure how many. We haven't been given a number. It's not too specific, but that's okay. Nevertheless, we can still decipher that there are more than one. So that makes it a plural noun. And again, we've added the S to friend. So my friends are coming over. Okay, there we go. Plural pronouns. So before we had our I, he, she. Now we have pronouns like they are going to the store. So we don't know how many people with they. Perhaps they've been mentioned before, and now we're referring to a group as they. But that's something you can use for, yes, more than one person. We, if you're talking about you included with the group, we enjoy reading. The cookies are delicious. Those are my favourite. So those being replacing the cookies. And we're talking about more than one. Okay, so we have our singular pronouns and we have our plural pronouns as well. Now let's dive into plural noun phrases. So just like before, a plural noun phrase can have modifiers around the noun. And again, we've used the same examples just to be really explicit here. So the large trees, we've added that S on. How many trees? More than one. Provide shade. Several red cars are parked in the driveway. Several, we know that to be maybe 2 or 3, but again, it's not too specific, but nevertheless, we know that it's more than one. The houses on the corner are beautiful. So we've created more than one house here. We've put an S on the end of house. The houses on the corner are beautiful. So you can see how the noun phrases have now become plural. And more often than not, you just put an S on the end of the noun. Okay, so now let's dive into plural verbs. And when the subject is plural, indicating more than one person, place, thing, or idea, then verbs become plural themselves. Plural verbs typically do not end in S in the present tense, unlike singular verbs though, however. So we will have a look at this with some examples now. So we've done the girls this time. We've added the S to the noun, but the verb has changed. It's gone from is to are, like we were talking about. The girls are singing. The babies cry loudly. So the verb cry doesn't have that S, but the baby becomes babies and it changes from a Y to IES. So that's just something to note as well, how plural nouns change and how plural verbs change. The artists paint the canvas. They make banana bread regularly. Okay, so you can see our plural nouns and our plural pronoun at the end there, and how the verb has changed as well. So I hope that that's becoming a bit clearer. And as always, we're just making sure to match the number of the subject to the number of the noun. Okay, so compound subjects then. So if there's more than one and the subjects are joined by an and, what do? Well, we can use a plural verb. For example, Tom and Jerry, that's a compound subject, are good friends. So we treat them as more than one. On the other hand, if the subjects are joined by or nor, use a verb that agrees with the closer subject. So let's see this in action. Neither the teacher, so that's what a singular noun, nor the students, that's plural, so we use are happy about the new rule. Okay, so we just match the verb to the closest subject there. Indefinite pronouns now. So these are pronouns that do not refer to any specific person, thing, amount, or place. They're very general and they're non-specific. What do we do in this situation? Well, some indefinite pronouns are singular, for example, everyone, nobody, and others are plural, for example, both and several. So if we were to use everyone, which is singular, then we use the singular verb, is. Everyone is welcome to join the event. Collective nouns, you might have heard about these. So a collective noun refers to groups of people, animals, things as a single unit. For example, team or family is singular when referring to the group as a whole and plural when referring to individual members. This can be a little bit confusing. So, for example, the team, so we're treating it as a whole unit here. The team is winning the game. Okay, so singular. However, when we're talking about the players, now we're referring to the individual members, and is changes to are. The players are preparing for the next match. Special cases. Any special cases here? Well, a few nouns such as economics, mumps, measles, or news end in S, but in fact they are considered singular. And a way that you can tell, a little tip for you, if you take away the S, you don't have a noun. So for example, economic and new are in fact adjectives that describe a noun. And mump and measles aren't words, they don't make any sense. So either the noun becomes, say, an adjective, or it becomes a nonsensical word. Economics is her favourite subject. So there we go, we've got our S there. However, we still use that singular form of the verb. Another special case, when the subject is a unit of Measurement of time, distance, money, weight. The unit is considered singular and the verb will end in S. Let's look at this in action. So 13 feet, that's our unit of measurement. 13 feet of kite, string, tangles very easily. So even though there's more than 1 foot of string, 13 feet is still considered a singular unit here. So we use a singular verb. Okay, practice for IELTS then. So we can say something like, one of the issues that has been discussed in my community is traffic congestion. All right, any ideas? Is this singular? Is this plural? Have a think about it at home. It is indeed singular. So one, the subject here, and has. This is a singular subject and a singular verb. So they agree with each other. Another one. The number of students in the science program has increased steadily over the past 5 years. So we need to think about the subject. Can you identify the subject? And then can you identify the verb? And what do you think it is? Singular, plural? Let's have a look. So the number of students, the subject is number, and has is a singular verb that agrees with the singular subject, number. My family is planning a visit to your city and we would like some information about local attractions. So this is a collective noun. Maybe we can remember what to do with this one. Well, when you have collective nouns, it is treated, if you're treating my family as a whole, then that would be singular. It becomes plural when you're referring to individual members of the family. But in this case, my family is a singular unit there. Okay, another one. The number of tourists to the region has increased in recent years. So maybe you can guess the number being the subject here and has agreeing with that subject being singular. Okay, there we go. I think we've got one more. Individuals play a crucial role in addressing environmental challenges, and their actions have a significant impact on the planet. Okay, so identify the subject and then decide whether it's singular and plural, and then see if the verb matches. So individuals being the subject and play being the plural verb here, so more than one individual, and then we have the verb to match with that. Okay, so hopefully that has boosted your confidence with subjects and verbs, and as long as you ensure that they agree with the number, then that's the most important thing. So hopefully that's the takeaway of today. It's been great to have you along. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next lesson.